Hi, my name is Erin Turner, and I am here with Candace Head, and we are about to do an interview for the National Association of Black Journalists and the National Association for Hispanic Journalists.
Thank you, Erin. So here at NABJ, we're here with the PR team and Byron Pitts, who is currently co-anchor for Nightline News, as well as the chief national correspondent for ABC News. How are you, Byron?
Never better. How you guys doing?
We're pretty good. Thanks. All right. So you did an awesome job hosting the reception yesterday. Do you want to talk about how that was addressing, all of NABJ and NAHJ?
Oh, it was great. As described, it's like a big family reunion, right? You see all these journalists of color, because no matter what newsroom you're in the country, you don't see that diversity. And so it's nice to be reminded there's so many people of color who are incredibly gifted, who have the same values you do as a journalist, and who want to, tell important stories. That's always nice about it. The presidents of the two organizations are very impressive people on their own. It was nice seeing seeing the diversity in the audience. There's so many young journalists like you guys, old people like me, and a couple of people even older than me who were there. And so I think that reminds all of us that we come from a rich history, we've inherited a great history, and that with your generation, the future is very bright.
So going off of that, as you know, there are a lot of aspiring journalists out there. So with recent news, not recent, but with more news going out there about Black Lives Matter and everything surrounding young black males within the United States, what advice do you have for those aspiring journalists who are working in these news situations, or working in a news situation as a reporter, who might have to work and talk about tough situations that are really at home for them? Do you have any advice for them?
And the Bible reminds us, to those whom much is given, much is required, right? I'm sure you both heard that from your families. And so I think the same is true for this next generation of young journalists, that you have a unique opportunity, responsibility to tell these stories, that you hopefully from your own upbringing have a sensitivity and a sensibility to these kinds of stories that are vital in newsrooms to tell these great American truths. I mean, what's happening happening in the African American community isn't new. It might be new to the mainstream news media, right? Like, I've often had times people telling me tell me about the conversation that's so new to me, that black parents have with their sons in particular. And I've often said that, black people have been having that same conversation since 1619, when we first arrived here as slaves. How do we interact safely with white America? And so there's a need for diversity in newsrooms to bring that awareness to these folks. This isn't a new conversation. It might be new to you, but it's not a new conversation. So I think there is, in the midst of all these challenges, there's great opportunity out there for journalists of color to impact their newsrooms, to impact their communities in a positive way.
Thank you for that.
Well, speaking of impacting newsrooms and things like that, how long have you been a part of NABJ? What's kind of been your experience, and how has NABJ helped you in your career?
I've been a member of NABJ longer than you two have been alive. I've been a member of NABJ for 30 years. For me, it has been, next to my faith in God, how I was raised by my mom, NABJ has been crucial to my success. I am at the network. I've been at the network now for 17, 16, some odd years due to NABJ. I got my first network job at an NABJ convention. When I showed up my first NABJ convention just out of college, I owned one pair of khaki pants like these. I owned two blue shirts with a shirt extender. You guys know what those are, but a little thing that make your collar fit.
Yes.
And I owned a red tie. That's all I had. And I didn't know anybody, and I was here, and I was unsure, lacked confidence, didn't have any money. And I remember there was a black man who I met at NABJ who just came in and said, "Hey, young fella, what's your name?" Reached out to me, nurtured me, was kind to me, gave me confidence. Because one of the challenges I think will happen for a lot of young journalists of color, you'll go into a newsroom, you may be the only person who looks like you in the newsroom, and that can be a lonely place. You may have managers who may not appreciate your journey and aren't nurturing and supportive as they might be of other people in your newsroom. And so for me, NABJ was like family. It was like church. I came here every year to be fed. I showed up at the door hungry, right? I mean, starving for someone to tell me that I was okay, someone to tell me that I might be good enough, to someone to tell me that there is a space for you. And so NABJ has been very, very good to me. And I think about it now as an older journalist on the second half of my career. I have more years behind me than ahead of me professionally. And so now I see opportunities, an opportunity to come and to meet you and your peers and say, hey, I'm excited for you, I'm happy for you, how can I help that you're needed? NABJ was important to me, important to our profession. When I first started coming here 30 years ago, it is equally important today. So as my mama would say, I love myself some NABJ.
So I guess we can go ahead and ask our last question, but how do you measure success? What does that look like for you?
In this, one of the main reasons why I wanted to become a network correspondent was so my grandmother could see me on television. She lived in a small town, Apex, North Carolina, not too far from Elon, and she didn't have cable back in the day. And so the only way she could get visual confirmation that her grandbaby was doing okay was if I worked at the network. And that was important to me. And so, my bottom line goal has always been to make my mother proud. I was raised by a single parent. And to honor her hard work and all that she gave me. So for me, that is the ultimate measure of success, the belief that I made my mother proud. My mom passed away 4 years ago. And thank you. And the last thing my mother said the last word she spoke before she died was call Byron. Which to me, what that said was she knew that she could depend on me. And that matters a great deal to me. So that's the big measure of success for me, the ultimate measure. And then to feel like I want to believe that my profession, our profession, is better off because I was in it. And I'll say something, do something to help the next generation of journalists to want to push on.
Well, thank you so much, Byron, for coming. We really appreciate you taking the time out to interview with us.
Thank you, guys. Good job. Good questions.